I'm glad everybody's in here this morning. So we are on week 3 already. 3 different weeks that we've been talking about designing an intentional life and what we're going to do about it. And this week we are going to be talking about core values, which are things that truly matter to you. And values are kind of like a compass that we use in our life, and there's areas that we can have values in. That's what's important to us, that helps us guide our choices. We're doing that on week 3 because as you know, on week 1 we started with introduction to wake up from living a life on autopilot, right? And what it meant to live intentionally instead of living on autopilot. Week 2, we talked about identity and self-awareness of who you really are. And we had different things that we might wanted to work on as far as different prompts and things that we have. Today's going to be pretty good. But first of all, I'm going to start off with a little bit of a story that somebody asked me a question about, and they have had a job for I think 20 years, and they are professional at their job, and they feel that they do really good. As a matter of fact, they've been at this same type of career for about 20 years, and recently they've had a boss. They've now worked for about 2 years that came in there, and this particular boss talks to them in a very demeaning kind of way, kind of condescending, making them not feel right, almost always feeling like it's threatening their job and not making them feel, I guess, valued at work for their job. They're a salaried individual and they get paid, salaried individuals 40 to 50 hours, but they find themselves working more than that amount of time. And what did I think about that? What you could do? Well, one of the things that you could do is realize that the problem is really with that boss. So basically, it's more about him, not you, because his behavior is because he's immature and he also has some problems. Sometimes insecurity and people with power aren't a good mix, because people with insecurity and they have power over you and they're managing you, you're going to have to view them as that person. Good morning, Alicia. Really is the one with the problem. And what you want to do is just create emotional distance from that individual in your life. And you can also do other things like work on your resume. Alicia, I'm glad that you're here. I'm talking about somebody that's working for a controlling person that has low self-esteem, and that person, sometimes when they manage you, are going to do different things. There's this old thing called the gray rock. Act like a gray rock. So just limit your conversations. You don't have to feedback. And a lot of times people with low self-esteem and insecurities, they like to be right, especially when they're the boss, because something happened to them as a child. So that's how you want to view it. You don't want to view that as your problem, that this person manages me. You want to view it as this person with a problem manages me, and see it as their problem. So you don't take that emotion home. So you don't go home feeling like you were not productive. So that's something that we could do. So one of the things that we're going to get into today is we're going to talk about values and where they come into our lives. And I got a couple of them just like written behind me a little bit that we're going to talk to on week 3. Values are important because values guide us. They're like our compasses. And when we're trying to live an intentional life and we're putting effort into it, some of the values that we're going to talk to, which you can see that are right behind me, of where they can fit into our lives, right? So our values can fit into our character. And those are areas about in our character where we want honesty, being truthful with your interactions and everything in life, integrity, consistency between your beliefs and actions, authenticity, accountability, trustworthiness, loyalty, fairness, and justice. That's all character values that we can talk about. And I have an exercise where we can write out and find where some of our values are. And then we have personal growth and development. This is what today is, because personal growth and development is all about learning. It's about curiosity, being creative, using some of the wisdom that you have. And then bouncing back from challenges, being resilient. That's something we like talking about here at this live. And then having the courage to do it, facing fear and taking risk. That's all there under personal growth. In addition, having the courage to face the fear, to take the risk is a big one, because that helps with self-improvement and staying with an open mind here on the personal growth part. And then we can use our values in relationships and connections by being compassionate, kind, respectful, and having deep care and affection for those that matter to us in our life and our relationships. And being forgiven, got to let go of resentment, especially in relationships. If you have something that is resentment, you got to let that go to have values. If you value a relationship, you got to let go of the resentment. And that's an important part of relationships, especially a relationship with yourself. Generosity without being a people pleaser, and that's given freely to those that deserve to be given to. And then building meaningful connections with friends. Next is one that I struggle with, and that's health. Because in health, we want to keep physical and mental wellness. We want to maintain like an equilibrium in our life of what's good for us, with self-care, happiness, being mindful, having gratitude. Most importantly, in health and well-being, as far as values, you want to have appreciation for what you have. You want to have inner calm and tranquility. And that is, some people call it peace, but tranquility and inner calm is really important for the health. And then work and career. Right there is a good values. And in some of the values, this is where we can use values of dedication, your teamwork. If you're a leader, be a good leader, guide and inspire people, and have high standards at your work. And then most importantly, and this is what we want to have really good values, is global values. And global values kind of fit into a category that are like family, the importance of the bonds with your family, your community, a connection to the local society, liberty and independence. That's freedom, security, being safe and stable, and adventure. Adventure is important. Seek out new experiences. Connect with something greater than yourself through spirituality, and then be responsible. And have appreciation more than anything for things in life that are different, right? Because when we're talking about values, and some people interchange that with morals, there's two different things. Values are more the values can change. A moral is something that's really, that values can be based on. Morals sometimes come through culture. There's cultures that have morals, or spirituality, or religion, where some of the morals come from. But these are the things that we're considering. And when we're talking about our values are going to be our compass. That's going to be our compass. It's going to be the wind that directs our life. So it's important to know our values. And why it's important to know our values, because it can change how you question your life and how you see your life, and how you and basically how you live your life, how you make your decisions. Good morning, Batty. I'm glad that you're in here. Kelly, I saw you in here. Good morning. I'm glad everybody's in here. My name's Ray. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. Somebody that likes to just share some things that have helped me out. And today I've laid out week number 3 of core values in our life. And we've had a good last 2 weeks. It's been really good. I have a lot to talk about today. And one of it's going to be about a question that might change your life. And this is the cost of of a familiar life where we intentionally accept things that unintentionally make us complacent, to whereas we have dissatisfaction because it's unbearable to change it, and we get comfortable with some dissatisfaction into our life. And through self-examination, we can be able to pull ourselves out by journaling some of these things. So dissatisfaction often persists not because it's unbearable, because it's familiar and tolerable. And we tolerate a lot of unsatisfaction things in our life where those little nudges that you feel inside, like I should change this. I shouldn't be in this relationship. This doesn't align with me. When we're living a life that's intentional and on purpose, we're staying connected to our core values. We're staying connected to our morals. And as you know, and I showed you, these are used in everything, relationships, work life, and everything. But what happens if somewhere in the lingering middle of trying to fix yourself, you just get complacent and you give up the fight? You're just gonna tolerate this now. And this is my life, stamp. We want to get out of situations where we have that cognitive dissonance, where we're living one way, but we know that there's a better way to live. And this is through self-exploration. And we could do that by choosing and agreeing to a life that is intentional, that we can live alongside our values as like a sidekick. Anyone that's had a counselor or went for mental health and everything, you use those counselors as a sidekick in your life. A good book as a sidekick, but then you have to carry that with you. And you got to remember, it's a side piece. It's like a cane. We have challenges in our lives. And it starts with when we start to learn some of our values and morals as a kid, as a child, when we're underdeveloped. That's where we start getting some of the values in our life. And they come from the people of authority in our life, and they come from people that are raising us, people that watch us, that say, do this, don't do that. I'm doing really good. April, welcome in here. We're glad you're in here. Good morning, Norma. I see that you're in here and some people. And let's talk about back to the values, or where we got them from in the first place. Because morals, when we get some morals that come from church, religion, and things that we wholeheartedly believe in through our culture, stay open-minded to other people that are different, that may not have morals like you. There's different laws around the world, and when we're open to live any way that we want to. So we get these values, right, in our life. And we're getting them from, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we become an adolescent, right? That's where we cross the line. That's where we're going to start testing things. And it's pre-adult. So in adolescence, if you don't have good guidance, and some people carry this into their whole life, through adolescence, we start trying to cross that line, try to make it to where, I don't believe this is bullshit. I'm going to do things my way. And we start crossing that line. Then we get into adulthood. And what we've learned now through our childhood development and through adolescence is what we can and can't get away with. We've tested the grounds. Now we got to shape our lives. We're going to have to go to school, get a career, get a skill. We got to shape our lives. And if you didn't have a strong personal compass when you were a child, or maybe you were ignored, maybe you had self-esteem issues, all of that's okay, because right now you're still you. And you can follow a guide and do a writing exercise of what are my values. And that's what today's about. What are your values? Write down in exercises, how do I look as a value in my life? What's guiding my experiences? So the core values are your foundation of your life, and your morals are a personal compass, right, of how you put things into that. What we're going to talk about today is that your values are developed in life, as we know, through childhood, your family environment, all these early experiences and different things in your life. And are we really using them? And are we really using, especially um, in relationship and personal growth? That's where values need to come in. That's where we need to break away from some of the things that we're tolerating, that we're complacent with. And when we're talking about living an intentional life, we're falling right onto the crest of either being on autopilot, letting our life live us, versus living our life on purpose with intention, using and guiding ourselves. And this takes more than words. This takes action. It takes an action plan. And I'm going to go there. Action plans and living a good life starts with journaling. It starts with self-exploration and finding out things about yourself. And there's something traumatic about some of these techniques, because we fall into people-pleasing behaviors. We fall into doing things that we feel that we have to, and we get so comfortable with that. So today, I have just so much to delve into over our values and what they are. And do we think about them every day? Is it part of our intentional living? And an intentional living is going to be built on clear values. And in order for us to use our values, specifically for us to live, we need to have boundaries, strong boundaries. We have to protect ourselves with boundaries. And what I mean like that is we don't want to be over accommodating to something or somebody else in our life that we put first, because we need to make sure and feel this connection, that we need to make sure that this friendship exists. I need to make sure that this person is pleased so they can like me. This is a mindset you need to get out of. You need to please yourself to make sure you're doing things so your alone time and your peace can be what you want them to be. And there's roots to people pleasing, and they're psychological. They're really, really psychological, because they originate in your childhood. It often begins in childhood when you learn to feel emotionally safe. You must please others. To feel emotionally safe, you have to please this person. And if you're avoiding conflict at all costs, even when it's really necessary, because you're afraid to speak up for yourself, you're afraid to be comfortable, that comes from childhood, when you're told to be quiet, stand in a corner, or something like that, where you don't get to have a voice. And when we were talking about values, that's when you get the values at that age, and then you get into adolescence and you start testing them things. Now, as an adult, you're fully in charge of how you're going to feel and how you're going to think and what you're going to tolerate. And you're not going to tolerate living on autopilot anymore, or tolerate the boss I talked about earlier, realizing that he's the one with the problem. When people say something about you or do something, recognize that as their problem. It's not your problem. You got to reframe your mind, right? So anxiety and fear of rejection is why we people please. We get anxiety, and then we fear rejection if I'm not able to help you move out of your house because I have a truck, or I'm not going to go help your grandma, or I'm not going to allow you to make me feel guilty because of your problems. Okay, remember, this is that person's problems. And there are manipulators out there and narcissists who recognize people that are people pleasers, and they come into our lives, and they're sweet, they're kind, they can be good looking, they make you feel everything, and they just build you up. But somewhere during that build up, you only get that feeling through them, and they isolate you and they take you away. This is what happens. Then we get complacent, we get comfortable, and we're now living a tolerable life only by being a slave to media, being a slave to social media, likes and validation that comes externally. Because we, as people pleasers, we need this external validation that doesn't do anything for our self-development. And when we're valuing our health, that means that we're going to value our state of mind, I value my health, but I smoke, and I'm currently trying to quit. And I've quit in the past, but I'm comfortable and complacent with it. But I now have, a plan put together for that. Um, I have to, on purpose, not absorb other problems, and I tend to do this, and so do I. And that's one of the things. We're not here to do anything other than live our lives. Another thing that there's a core driver behind that behavior is low self-esteem. Sometimes with low self-esteem, we believe that external validation is the only way to get love and acceptance because we're not giving it to ourselves. Remember, our love that we direct, if you have a dog, if you have a pet, you know how that pet sees you as the most loving, greatest person? Try to look at yourself the way you think your dog looks at you every day and wag your own tail. Be happy and content. You are your own provider, and you're your provider of how you're going to live your life with your core values. And our core values and how we're going to find them is we're going to write a list of core values, and then we're going to circle the ones that mean the most to you. Independence doesn't mean being on your own. Independence means having boundaries in all your relationships, boundaries at your job, when you will work, when you won't work, to where it doesn't take away your peace. That's right. You don't want it to take away your peace. You don't want things in your life that are taking away your enjoyment of living your life. And, there's some things to consider when you're considering your values is writing down what matters to me the most. And let me tell you, when it comes to inner calm and tranquility and people pleasing, think about that. Inner calm and inner tranquility in your life is really important. That's where living the best life starts. That is where living the best life is going to start. By finding inner calm and tranquility, having a space of your own that you can go right, where you can plan your life. Today, how do you want your day to be? Does anybody want to have a bad, people-pleasing, dragged-out, worn day today? And if so, raise your hand. And I guarantee nobody's raising their hand. Would you like to have a day with peace, tranquility, that's under control and written, and dealing with issues as they arise, but not taking them personal? This morning, I started out with someone who reached out to me that has a boss, and that boss is belittling them, and they're good at their career, they're good at their job. Um, and the problem's not you, but they go home feeling that way. You have to now picture your boss as that little baby sucking on his little pacifier as a whiner, because when you pulled it away, he cried, right? Are you going to let a 4-year-old that you take a lollipop away from, who wags around and cries, wreck your entire day? Because that's what your boss is. Your boss is an immature, underdeveloped, emotionally crippled person with low self-esteem and control issues. And people with low self-esteem and that have control issues is how they make yourself feel better. That's their shadow, to make you feel horrible about your life, because those are their insecurities. And they're casting off on you what they're guilty of. So that would be a good value to have in your life. And that would fall under work, career, and health. Right? That falls under work, career, and health, because in your career, there has to be good boundaries. And if you would do something about it by filling out your resume, asking to be under a new manager, you want to distance yourself away from them. But if you're stuck with them, then you're just going to have to view it as their problem. When they are coming in, this isn't right, that's right, I need you to stay right, that person has the problem, not you. And if you're doing your job, this is and you're people pleasing when you're doing that, because, oh, this is my boss, this is what I got to do. But put it into perspective, the way that you get talked to, the way that you get treated. And Some of the core drivers behind why we get tolerable in life is sometimes we get some past trauma. Learning that safety comes from meeting other people's expectations rather than being authentic. So I'm safer just to do the way you want things versus my authenticity, because I'm safer here because I have low self esteem and I don't think that my thoughts and what I can bring to the table have any value, because this is what I've learned a long time ago. This is where we need to change our nervous systems, our anxiety, and everything about us is not in alignment. And this comes from evolution, because years and years and millions of years ago, we lived in caves and we were on alert. But now we're living in houses. Now there's information out there. Now there's new sidekicks. And that new sidekick is going to be your new way of thinking. You're going to twist every story and make things and your validation come from inside and love. And I can love myself. I can love myself because I'm going to research. We're going to talk about right here into personal growth. That's being curious. That's chasing wisdom. That's reading something. That's going out of your way to do something that's going to benefit the way you think and feel about yourself. And let me tell you right now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you if you people please. There's nothing wrong with you if you feel like you're not the best person or you get anxiety. There's nothing wrong at all with you. What's wrong is the way that you're thinking about stuff. Your validation needs to come inside. You were made just like everybody else. And you utilize your mind, you can little by little and journal, make steps to find your true values, find where your tranquility is, and live a life that is full of intention with the things that you've always liked in your life. Kathy, thanks for the follow. I'm glad that you're here this morning. We're on week 3 of living an intentional life, and we're talking about core values. These values are things that matter to you, and we're going to talk about some exercises today to find out how core values can be developed in your life and to find out what's important to us. And I'm going to help and get into a little bit right now to help us explore. I got like 7 different little items that I wanted to talk about today, and I'm not going to get to them all. And I always feel that when we do these courses, that the Fridays are a pickup and a leftover from the Tuesdays of these. So there's a value checklist method, and that's where we start with a comprehensive list of common values, typically 50 to 100 different options. And I listed where these values could be used, and find the top 3 to 5. And you're going to find out that one of the things that you really need to seek in life is tranquility, peace, and gratitude. Being grateful for what you have right now. Being grateful to even hear what you're listening to right now. That's not me. That doesn't come from me. These are just things that I say to help you say something that resonates with you, to where you can relate to in life. And living an intentional life resonates with me. That's why I do this. That's why I share that. And there's powerful, powerful questions in health. And I'm going to read out this little list that comes out from a book that I read by this. It was written by this lady in Illinois. I forget her name, but I share it. But for our health and well-being is a little list of things where we want balance, self-care, happiness, mindfulness, gratitude, peace, and vitality. Vitality. Where in your life are you applying vitality? Do you wake up with energy and enthusiasm? Do you have enthusiasm when you think about being more control into your life? Because being in control means that you're controlling how things make you feel. And you're in control of how you make yourself feel. Things outside of you can't, you got to weather that. You got to reverse some of our thinking of what validates us and what makes us have vitality, energy, and enthusiasm in our life. It should be enthusiastic to research, and you should have curiosity to find the wisdom to live a life that's not on an autopilot through other people. If you find yourself going out of your way, having resentment in any part of your day or your weekend, other than, nobody really, there's certain chores that I don't like, but I do them, right? Because that helps me stay healthy. When you fix things, we have laundry, we have certain things that we do, but we can go about this in a way to where there's still enthusiasm in our life. Looking forward to seeing certain people. Looking forward to seeing and spending time with ourselves. That's what it's about. Spending time with ourselves. Instead of rating values individually, compare them against each other. And this is going to force choice approach reveals your true priorities by making you choose between values that matter the most. That is the exercise that you want to take, is the value in your life that's going to matter the most. And then now using that as a compass, applying it to yourself. Remember, these are things you apply to ourselves, and it's the boundaries that we make that when we were in a 4-week boundary class. I think I missed the very last one of it. Sorry. But we learned that boundaries are kind. If you really want somebody in your life and you want to have a really good friend, then that person, there should be boundaries on that friendship. There should be boundaries with families. There should be boundaries on what you're willing to do in every aspect of your life. Because if you don't have boundaries, people are going to trample your character, your personal growth, your relationship, your health, your work, career, and global, all of that. Everything that we started with today. We're here, we're doing this course. The same people that I see here every week, we're doing the work. You are the people who are, let's read a little bit about you. You have kindness, compassion, and the most of all, you like learning, curiosity, and being creative. Isn't that neat? Isn't that neat? And you're going to get wisdom and have resilience in your life from people that attack you, from people that try to make you feel like less of a person, from people that really have the problems in life, and they're out there. These people are out there, and they have fear of change. They can only hope to have it one day. And there's people that probably could use that. Sorry about those comments that are on there. And these are one of the things, and you don't take that personal. I don't give that the time of the day, because we know that they probably should just join us. And you don't have to mute those people unless they keep doing that, because they probably need hear this more than anybody. We can't take away from the fact that there is a lot of force out there in our life that's wanting us to trip, fall, and fail. There's people that, unfortunately have problems, and we ourselves have problems. And one of the problems is we sometimes would take that the wrong way. Good morning, Miss Hollywood Star. I like your name. Values checklist method is we're going to review values as a list in our life. Circle ones that resonate you, and then rank them in the order of rank them kind of in an order of what's important to you. But here's something I want to say. Just one is, and we've talked about this before, is if you were at your 80th birthday party, right, or your funeral, and 3 people were going to speak, one person you worked with, one person you're related to, and let's say your best friend, what do you want to hear? What do you want them to say about you that your legacy was? And that is a good start with how you might want to live your life. So-and-so was a great person. They were always there for me. but they took time for themselves. They were quiet, peaceful. They weren't nosy. I mean, what do you want people to say about you? What do you want your legacy to be? Because you can create that today. You can start today by having your legacy be, that was a strong character. He didn't budge on what he believes in. As we get older, our values can change. That's the best thing. Our morals don't typically, they're in place. Our morals that we got from religion or just personal, spiritual, global beliefs that we have, those pretty much stay the same. But our values can change in life. Things change in life. We graduate from schools, we look for jobs, we have life-changing events. There's divorces, there's bankruptcies, there's all these different things. That doesn't make you who you are. But those are experiences that you could be going through, or that may happen, or they've happened to you. I'm 55, man. I've been around the block a couple of times. Shit's already gone down in my life, and I'm trying to now have boundaries to keep things from happening that weren't so enjoyable experiences that I've had, right? Because we don't want to set ourselves up for failure. But when we have boundaries in our life and we're living intentionally, this helps us. You built the block. That's correct. And you're going to do it with a foundation of gratitude, being grateful, not just for what you have, but from the experiences that taught you lessons. Back to the word catharsis. Catharsis is something that means, it's a Greek word, and it means to cleanse. That means that we look back at trauma, we look back at things, and we fix it, because we still might have problems from past experiences. We got to find the silver lining in it. I wouldn't be who I am now without every experience that I've had in my life. So I'm grateful for my lessons. I'm grateful for the things that happen. I'm grateful that you're here. I'm grateful that I have people that tune in and listen, because I hope that they take what I say. I'm not going to take this, Atik. I get a lot of these requests. So in here, we just talk about visualizing our future. When you're living intentionally, you're visualizing how you want things to be. You're visualizing how you want things to be in your life, and you're making a plan. You're making a plan. Visualizing that I want my life to be peaceful. I want my life to have abundance, but I want my abundance to come from within. I don't need to be like everybody else. I don't have to look fancy. I don't have to people please. And I don't have to build resentment in the future by agreeing to something that I just don't want to do. And guess what? No's a full sentence. The word no. Find the lessons for sure in life. That's right, Elisa. Finding the life and evaluating our life, not going too back into the past, not reliving things, but looking at it that, hey, this happened to me. Hey, I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on with my life. I'm going to move on. And one of the biggest conflicts that you're going to run into at the beginning of living a purposeful life are external conflicts. External conflicts, the biggest one being people pleasing. And that is, you want to avoid conflict at all costs in your life. So you do something for somebody. You have resentment about some of the commitments that you've made. And this is where life is different. Do you remember a little bit ago, I was reading some notes. So when I get ready for this, I basically, like last night, my brother was over here, and I didn't go live, but I pretended I was live with him while I talk. And I wrote down something that I said that popped out. And one of them was, I had dissatisfaction in my life um, because, and it sometimes became unbearable because it was familiar and tolerable. So I just let it go. I just let it go. Right. You have to let go what parts are not tolerable. You want parts of your life and every part of it to be tolerable. A list of what I have to do this week, a schedule, a book, not getting too much social media, not getting too much stimulation in your head other than your own thoughts. Um, but you want to ask yourself some questions, and one that it doesn't create moods, but you want to ask when it comes to boundaries, when it comes to values, is can I deal with this in my life? Can I deal with this? Is this something that I can deal with? Does it align with me? Am I comfortable with agreeing to this? Am I okay in this relationship? What in your life do you feel that you're just tolerating with because it's tolerable? What unbearable thing that's always been in your life has been tolerable? And a lot of times it's going to be one of our behaviors of what we accept. A behavior that I'm going to deal with. Ray will do it, no problem. He'll help us out, not a problem at all. That's my problem, not yours, not the people that ask. And there's people where I've done things in my life out of kindness, and it was truly kindness, but I did a lot of shit in my life just because I had low self-esteem and I needed my validation by doing things for people. And that was the hardest thing to break out of, because I was in my late 40s when I really discovered it, that, man, my life is just a fucking being everybody's Mr. Belvedere, everybody's fucking Beller. And it was because I kept busy so I wouldn't have to deal with some of my trauma, some of my low self-esteem. So I had an agenda. My agenda was to take care of everybody else so they wouldn't feel the pain that I felt, leaving my pain there. That's what helped me take journaling more seriously, read some old journals, find out that I was stuck into a rut and that life was happening to me. I wasn't living it. Life was happening to me. I had a job, I was good at it. I had a family, I did everything. I had relationships, I did everything. I was a volunteer, only to see that other volunteers help themselves. Volunteering means you're doing something. I volunteer this right here. Yeah, absorbing other people's problems. I was like a little sponge. And I got so fucking heavy being that sponge that I couldn't even float anymore. I sank to the bottom. And now I'm at the top because through realizing, writing, man, of who am I? Remember the first week one, waking up from autopilot, right there, week one. That's what we did week one, right? And it gets you out of there. Was last week. It's important. Who are we? Who are we? Who are we? And last week we had a little lesson to help build self-honest awareness of who we think we are. We're writing it down. We're journaling it. We're thinking about it through the day. Yeah, that's right, Alicia. We're not addressing our own problems when we're people pleasing. Ray, can you do this? Hey, can you do that? Can I leave this at your house for 5 months? Can I do this? Can I do that? You know, But in the order of this class is the order of how I feel, and you can do it in any order that you want to, is how I feel is next week. We're on core values today. We're talking about values. We're talking about how they're important. We're talking about our self-identity. And this is a lot. That's why it takes 12 weeks and twice a week. But as we go into next week, we're going to be talking about purpose and vision. And the thing is, if we have self-identity, if we realize we're on if we realize we're on a course of our life living us instead of us living life. I still have the board up from last week, from our very first week. It's still right here. These are signs right here that you're living on autopilot. I can't hold this thing for nothing. The signs are our days blur together, functioning, not experiencing. That means we're functioning but not experiencing our life. We're never fulfilled because we're reacting and we're not choosing. Your life is more fulfilling when you're choosing. Like, hey, can you do this? Do you want to come over to this? Can you volunteer? Can you watch my kids? Can you do that? You can choose and you say no. And when you take time off, you don't get rest. On TikTok, you need to block out time for yourself, hours a day, maybe whole days, maybe a whole Saturday morning. I'm busy. Block it off. Put it in your kitchen. Put it where the first thing that you look at this Saturday. Here's are my unavailable hours. This is when my phone is off. This is when it's Ray time. This is a Ray day. The one question that's going to change your life every time that you have a choice, the one question that every time that you get a choice and you get to choose is, does this align with me? Does it align with my values? Is this something that I want to be part of? Is this something I need? Think about it. If you have no transportation, you're going to absolutely for sure want to get either a transit plan if you don't have a license or a mode of transportation, because it's going to align. It's going to take you to a job. It's going to do things for you. So think about the analogy in your head to go living life past this moment. You don't have to wait till tomorrow. I'm going to do that this weekend. I'm going to do my best every time that I make a decision. Does this align with me? Is this going to create a future of excitement for me? Is this going to help me be the person that I am, that I want to become? Is this going to make it at my 80th birthday party? This is what we think about this person. What do you think about yourself? And when you think that you need some of this help, that you need an intentional life, then use this course as a little sidekick. Just a little reminder that you got this, that you are a good person. Everything that's happened to me has happened to probably everybody. So we're not special if we have problems. We're just humans. And we need to learn how to think through our problems. And don't let other people make you feel any lesser than you are. Stay out and avoid relationships that make you feel lesser of yourself. Now, relationships in life take work and they take effort, and sometimes things get said that we don't mean, but you need to stay with it and be healthy. If being global and having a family connection matters to you, then you would want to have certain values in your relationship. And some of that relationship and relationship connections with boundaries are going to include kindness, being having compassion, and treating others the way you would want to be treated, right? So that would be a value. Kindness is a value, right? And we can't be kind to everybody, but we should be. Compassion, understanding others' suffering. But you can understand somebody's suffering and might need something, but that's not your problem. This is where boundaries and values, you have to allow your values to help make boundaries. Just because there's a problem in one part of the world doesn't mean that we're going to swim over there with all our energy and go fix it. Empathy, feeling what others experience, respect, love, forgiveness, generosity, and friendship. These are all things that you can have without these are all things that you can have without having to people please. They can, because you can be generous and giving where you believe it's allowed, where your morals and values tell you, here's who I'm going to help. If somebody asks me for help, that criteria has to be A, B, and C. That is an awesome prompt to write. If I have a superior, like the person that sent me a message, that makes me feel like a lesser a person, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm now going to realize that he has the problem, but write that out. Write out what you want to change. Journaling and planning your life and writing things are really important. The power in writing. One of the biggest, most powerful things that you can do is to write a plan of how you want to be and how you feel about yourself. Validate yourself. You don't need it from the outside. You do not. Once you ignore the noise and start in here, then you'll be good. Good morning, Sarah. Good to see you. I hope everything's good. I'm glad that you're in here. Thank you so much. So, core values and morals sometimes are used interchangeably. And we learned today that morals are more of and good morning back to you, that morals are more of a pretty much non-negotiable thing. Values can be negotiable as we grow older. We can change our values. Our situation changes as we get older. Our health is going to need more help. There's going to be things, remember, that we're going to ask for help from people with boundaries that are generous. And a lot of times in life, we have to pay for those things. And we're going to pay maybe financial or do something nice for other people. We're going to create emotional distance from things that don't validate us. We're going to create emotional distance from people. I love that. Thank you so much. That's so kind. We're going to create emotional distance from people and watch out for people that want to trip us up. And this will happen to you as you get lighter at work. Remember the gray rock. The gray rock doesn't stand out and he doesn't say anything. Excuse me. I'm sorry. A gray rock. Just be that gray rock when that person wants to come and ask you the question that makes you feel like you're on the witness stand at work. Did you not do this? Did you do that? I need you to stay here. I need you to do that. And that one person's right. Remember, they're a small person. Brian, have a good day. Good luck with all your errands. Yesterday was Brian's anniversary, everybody. He went out and had a nice supper, and he's a good guy. I'm glad he's around. He's a good moderator. What a good person he is. He's running around. I'm glad to have him in my life. So the one thing that we're going to learn today, right, is the one question we're now going to we're going to live our life by a new question. The new question is, when anything comes arise, is this me? That's the question we ask. If something comes up, if somebody asks for something, if you're in a relationship, if you work somewhere, if you live somewhere, if you have a neighbor, is this me? Am I this person's friend? Is this me? Is this something that I want? And if I do, I don't like this part of it. That's where a boundary comes in. I can't accept this part. You can have a friend, the best friend in the world to hang out with, but whenever they come over, they want to turn up your stereo as loud as it'll go. It would be a boundary. I love it when you come over, and I like dancing sometimes, but I can't do it every damn time you come over, right? But we want to keep our lives alive. We want to keep it excited. We want to keep it controllable. And let's look at the list of how we want our life. Let's do, now that I have this board, I like looking at this. When we're living by design, let me see if I get in here. When we're living by design, we're engaging and enjoying. That means that stuff's not going to happen to you. We're engaging, enjoying, intentional, we're pre-planning, deliberate, available, calculated, available for yourself. See that? Available for yourself. Live your moments and your feelings. Feel life as it happens. Feel it. Enjoy that bit of life. Because if you're not, you're going to get frustration, fatigue, overwhelmed, worrying, low self-worth, people pleaser, endless cycle. Oh my God, somebody wrote about my life at one time. And it was living by default. That's where we're not living. We're only reacting to all this shit that happens. We're reacting to stuff instead of living. Today, I'm going to live my life today, and I'm not going out to react. I'm going to take everything with a grain of salt, and I'm not going to stress myself out, and I'm going to handle what I can handle. And that's what you can do too. That's what you're built for. And you're going to do it because you're great. So when you're living by default, you're unaware, unintended, accidental, involuntary, unthinking, unplanned, unexpected. And these kinds of things happen in our life all the time. That's where resilience comes in. That's where you're going to realize that, hey, life's going to happen to me today, but I'm in control. I am in control of how it's going to make me feel and what I think about it. This is some of what you get out of when you're living intentionally, mindful. You're journaling, you're choosing, you're grateful, you're aligning, you're resting and piecing. And anyone that's ever journaled, I want you to go through your journal and find the best thing that you ever wrote and post it somewhere. Post it somewhere into your house. So going over a list of our values for week 3, we got some of them right in through here, and we've got um, our character. And in our character, we want to have honesty, integrity, authenticity, accountability, trustworthiness, loyalty, fairness, and justice without being used, right? And personal growth. This is a good one. That's what I'm doing here this morning. I do this for personal growth because I want to learn and I'm curious. I have a desire to explore and understand my life and why I act the way I act, right? And we want to create that through wisdom and resilience. I have my little puzzle piece here that I had to move. Anybody else that does live, when that little puzzle gets there, I can't get it to align sometimes. So our personal growth for self-improvement and staying open-minded. Our relationships, we want to be kind, compassionate, have empathy, respect and love and forgiveness, generosity and friendship. And in our work and career, be professional, have high standards at your job, be committed to your work, strive for high quality, collaborate effectively, guide and inspire others, and create new solutions. And take ownership, not just of your life, but of all your tasks. And then we have family and global community. There's a lot of things. So we got a lot to go over this week, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But the best part of it is here's some knowledge that you can use starting today in your life to be the person that you want to be intentionally and to live a life full of vitality, excitement, to look forward to it. Journal every day about your values. Journal every day of how you want your life to be. Journal about who you think you are. And if you do every day for 20 minutes, even 5 minutes, in 10 days, you're going to notice that you have control up here. And you're also going to notice a lot of cockadoodle bullshit in your life that doesn't need to be there. It's like dust. It gathers like dust. But guess what? Being mindful and journaling is the best duster, swifter thing you'll ever have in your life. Clear off that dust. Get rid of the old you. Take yourself out of autopilot. And remember that you are a good person. That you were built by design, not through evolution. You're built by love and design. Even science says that, for your scientific people out there. And even if you don't believe, you do believe, because you got to believe in something. So if you believe that there is no belief, then you're a believer of that. So don't tell me that you're a non-believer, because if you're a non-believer, then you believe that you're a non-believer and you still have a belief. So there's cockadoodle bullshit out there that makes us question ourselves and question things. And that is personal exploration that we do, because one of the things that people in this live do is they're all about personal growth and development. And they are in the middle of learning because they're curious and they want wisdom, they want resilience, and they also want to find the courage to say no. And they want the courage to realize that they have permission to be happy, and you can live the life that you want to live today. If you choose happiness, and if you choose gratitude, if you choose, I need to be happy. I need to have a day full of vitality and excitement, and I'm going to plan that out. And you are going to have a good day today. Everybody's going to have a good day today. I thank everybody for being in here. Thanks for all the comments. And we're glad that everybody is happy. And I'm glad that everybody came in here, for all of you. Have a good day, TikTok. Thank you.